It is official. The Pittsburgh Steelers will host the 2026 NFL Draft. So, it was already announced a while back. Art Rooney already talked about it. But today, the official dates for the NFL Draft in 2026 were released by the city of Pittsburgh. But first, before I get more into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also, like this video. Now, let's get right back into it. So, the city of Pittsburgh announces dates for the 2026 NFL Draft. You can mark your calendars because it's official now. The city of Pittsburgh has announced that next year's NFL Draft will be held on April 23rd through April 25th. Visit Pittsburgh shared the news and added a countdown to its website while creating a fan guide for hundreds of thousands of out-of-town fans that are expected to attend the 3-day event. And it's the first time in the modern era that the city of Pittsburgh is hosting the NFL Draft. It's only happened once before in 1948, and that was by far a different era when the draft wasn't nearly as marquee of an event as it is today. Per Visit Pittsburgh's website, specific locations haven't been released, but there are more details about the event's general location. So here's what it says on their website. The main portion of the event is expected to incorporate elements of Pittsburgh's North Shore and Point State Park, as well as Acrisure Stadium, with a variety of venues to be utilized and activated within close proximity. So, the organization says this in a press release via 93.7 The Fan. So that's consistent with what the team said when Pittsburgh was first announced as the host of next year's draft last May. Hosting the draft has been a goal of Art Rooney's and Pittsburgh's for years. He talked about it in his press conference at kind of the announcement. They beat out several other cities, including Denver and Charlotte, to host the NFL Draft in 2026, and Pittsburgh was chosen for several reasons, including the city's passion for football and its central location to several other NFL cities like Baltimore, Philadelphia, Buffalo, Cleveland, and Cincinnati. So since the NFL began moving the draft location around the country, instead of basically Radio City Music Hall in New York each year, interest has only grown. For example, when you look at last year's NFL Draft, which was held in Detroit, the 2024 one, over 775,000 fans attended it, a number that could grow in the coming years. And Pittsburgh's mayor actually stated that he expects to hit at least 1 million fans in this draft that people are going to attend. He expects over 1 million fans to attend next year's NFL Draft. So this is a really big deal, not only just for the city, but just in general for football, because Steelers are one of the best fan bases in the entire NFL, one of the most passionate fans. So it's great that the city is getting this kind of love from the NFL in terms of hosting the events, and we get to see the Pittsburgh Steelers kind of bleed black and yellow, black and gold in the event, and see the crowd all surrounded with Pittsburgh Steelers fans, and just see how passionate the fans are at the draft next year. This is great for the city of Pittsburgh, but it's also great for the NFL because the Steelers are the best fan base. It's actually crazy that the Steelers have been around so long in the NFL, and this is their only second time hosting the event and first time since the 1940s. It seems like the Pittsburgh area, or the Steelers in general, would have been hosting the event a lot more, but no, that just has not been the case, even though they've been around for a long time. So it's great now, when it's the most marketable era in the NFL, and when there's most eyes on the Steelers and the NFL in general, that Pittsburgh is the team hosting the event. And hopefully it ends up being a big event, just like they plan it to be. Anyway, enough with the 2026 NFL Draft. Let me just talk about this year's NFL Draft really quickly, because I haven't even made a video on this yet, but let me just talk about the draft picks the Pittsburgh Steelers have in the 2025 NFL Draft, because it's all set right now. I might make a separate video going through it in terms of the compensatory picks and that they don't have and things like that, but let me just go through the set picks right now that the Steelers have. They have a pick 21st overall in round 1, but they also have round 2 as well, 52nd overall, round 3, 83rd overall, round 4, 121st overall, round 5, 162 overall via the Los Angeles Rams. Round 7, they have pick number 224 via New Orleans, Round 7, they also have pick number 230 via Atlanta. And round 7, they have pick number 246 via Washington. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, they don't have multiple picks per round earlier on, like in round 4, in which they usually do, but they do have multiple picks in round 7. So the Steelers, this is really a low pick draft class for them, and they're going to have to make the most out of each selection that they have because they don't have high picks in each round. When you look at last year's draft, for example, 2 years ago, we had a first round pick, and then we had 2 second round picks. And one of the picks were the first pick in the second round. So you look at the Steelers this draft, and they don't have that type of balance in their picks. All their picks are going to be later because of where they finished. See, the thing with the Steelers is they're never a bad team in which they're going to get such high picks in each round, but they're never a good enough team to where they're like 1 pick away or a few picks away from hitting them to be able to make the Super Bowl or win the Super Bowl. So right now the Pittsburgh Steelers are stuck in a weird position in terms of where they are in the NFL because they're in the middle ground, and they've been in the middle ground for quite a while now in terms of where they are in playoff seeding, almost making the playoffs every single year, and then some years obviously making the playoffs, but always just first round exits whenever they do. So right now the Steelers are stuck in the middle grounds of the NFL, and they're still looking for their top tier talent at quarterback, top tier talent at other positions, but they don't have enough good picks to be able to hit on a position of need like a quarterback. Yes, you could hit on a quarterback later in the draft like some of these guys, but most of the time the top tier ones are going to be taken early. Obviously, you could hit on later in the draft and get the guys that you need. Like Patrick Mahomes was a later pick, Jalen Hurts like second round pick, Lamar Jackson late first. But obviously, these guys you can get them late in the draft. But most of the top tier ones that you know right away, hey, they're going to be a really good quarterback and going early. So the Steelers are always stuck in a weird position. But let's see how they make the most of it. The Steelers always end up hitting on like the later round draft picks. For example, round 4, Mason McCormick. He ended up being a great guard this year, starter. You look at Zach Frazier, second round. He ended up being a starting center, one of the best centers in the league. So you look at these guys that the Steelers end up hitting later on. It may not be the quarterback position. It may be an offensive line, but they end up hitting it. And hitting it in the right pick. So the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to have to do it again this season. And they don't have really good selections in terms of top of each round, but we all know how the Pittsburgh Steelers do work. They do their work in terms of scouting and stuff like that, so they're going to have to do it all again, and hopefully this year they hit on every single draft pick, and then the next year, since they hit on every single draft pick in 2026, that's when they pick number 32, and that would be great, coming off of a Super Bowl win, heading into the NFL draft, hosted in the city of Pittsburgh. So imagine that, winning the Super Bowl, parade in Pittsburgh for the Super Bowl parade, and then right after, we have the NFL draft hosted by the city of Pittsburgh. That would be the perfect story. So let's hope that happens. Let's hope that's the storyline for the Pittsburgh Steelers season next year. But it all starts in this year's NFL draft, hitting on the right guys, and getting this draft executed to perfection. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on basically everything that was covered. Who are your main picks in this year's draft? Who are you most looking forward to? And who do you think the Steelers should pick in each round in terms of position and the position that they need the most in the draft? Also, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below about the Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the NFL draft next year in 2026. Do you plan on attending it? And how do you feel about them finally getting the opportunity to host it after the last one being hosted in the 1940s? Do you believe the city of Pittsburgh will show out and be the highest fans ever to attend the NFL draft and taking over from the reins of the Detroit Lions, in which their fans showed out last year's NFL draft with the most fans? Do you think the city of Pittsburgh will do an excellent job hosting it? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below about finally getting the opportunity to do so and things of that nature. Also, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, analysis, reports, everything surrounding the Pittsburgh Steelers. I cover it. I'll drop some highlights of the season shortly with analysis and everything like that, and just going over the season and breaking it down. But also, now that the NFL offseason is here, the free agency and the draft are coming up shortly. The NFL's offseason is high impact, and things continue to get rolling. So just know I'm covering everything the offseason as well, even though the regular season is over. So stay tuned to the channel for everything Pittsburgh Steelers. And until the next video, I'll see you guys all later. I'm out. Peace.